Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, both in the room and those of you who are online virtually. We are some of the diabetes educators here at MGC. So I'm Stacy Eilers. I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist. And this is Gwen. We're going to be tag teaming today. She is also a dietitian, certified diabetes care and education specialist. So thank you all for joining us. We're doing this in honor of National Diabetes Month. So if you don't have a diabetes, that's okay. This is also a great recipe for working on prevention too. So we are making a hearty pumpkin chili today. So hope you all brought your appetites because we're going to make a big batch. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first ingredient we're going to do is onions. So we're going to cut those up. I got the pot warming for us already. So we're going to put some oil in there, let that start warming up as well. I'm using an olive oil, but you can actually use any kind of oil you want. All right. So typically when we're doing anything like this, we want to use a liquid fat, like an olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, for heart health reasons. Liquid fats are heart healthy, solid fats usually are not, so that's why we're going with that. We're going to preheat the pot just so that things work a little better in there. So we're putting in first onions. So the recipe, we're doing a double batch, just so you're aware, because we figured we'd have a pretty good crowd today. So Gwen's going to go ahead and get those diced up.
Can't promise you I won't cry, but I'll try not.
Yeah, we're going to try not to cry. So onions are great. So if you have diabetes, you have probably heard, don't eat anything white. If you've heard that, onions are white. They're super healthy. So when we're talking about white stuff, we're not necessarily talking about white vegetables like onions or cauliflower, mushrooms, that kind of stuff. We're talking about white breads, that kind of thing. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking of your cooking options.
Yeah.
Onions are wonderful. Lots of great health benefits to onions. Unfortunately, they do, as we just mentioned, going to make us probably cry a little bit over here. But there are other ways to do onions. Yeah. Absolutely.
Good.
That's good. Yeah. Gwen was saying earlier that she buys them pre-frozen so you don't have to mess with it. And I buy dried sometimes.
Time too.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's coming. It's downstairs with one of the other educators, and she just hasn't brought it up yet. But there definitely will be. We promise. So once we get these onions cut up, we're going to put them in the pot and start that sautéing. You might notice there's a whole lot of cans sitting here in front of us. So it's one of the things I liked about this recipe. You can have a lot of shelf-stable stuff. You can buy cans. That's one of the nice things. Somebody did ask a little bit earlier about, could you use a fresh pumpkin rather than a canned pumpkin? Absolutely. You could bake that pumpkin down, puree it, and throw that in instead. So if you have pumpkins in your garden or left over from Halloween, absolutely can do that. So probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So she was asking, can we use butternut squash instead? Sorry for those of you online. So yes, you could use a butternut squash. So you could mix it up and use something a little bit different in there if you had a butternut rather than a pumpkin. Ooh, yeah, I'm starting to cry.
I don't know why.
Ooh. I don't know, but I'm smelling it. So if we're up here tearing up, we apologize. So, but that's part of the health of onions. So
yeah,
unfortunately, those smells are actually means they're beneficial to us. So while we're working on that, oh no, you're good. So we've got all these different things. So just so you know, I did do the grocery shopping for this last night, minus the spices, because all the spices we already had on hand. This recipe for a double batch was about $30. So you can make a huge pot of this stuff for about $30. One recipe is basically 15. It makes 8 servings, I think it says. So makes a nice big pot. So you can feed a pretty good army for a pretty fair cost. So that's a good thing. Because I know these days we're all thinking about budget. Yes, you absolutely can freeze it. I have some sitting in my freezer right now because the first time I tried this, it was a little spicier than I was looking for. So if any of you are not into high spice foods, don't worry, we have toned it down. So, all right, we're getting there.
Want to start putting some in, or should we until the very?
Wait till we get going. So, so reasons that we want to put pumpkin into a chili, that seems like kind of an odd combo. A lot of times in people's mind, they're like, pumpkin, chili? That seems a little weird. Pumpkin has a lot of health benefits. It is high in fiber. It has lots of vitamins and minerals. So it has vitamin A or beta carotene. So that will give you your entire day's need right there for that. If you're worried about cold and flu season coming, contains a lot of vitamin C, has zinc in it. Those are 2 vitamins that actually help our immune system. So rather than, going out and buying airborne or emergency, one of those, you can actually just eat some pumpkin because that'll still give you those benefits. So
Magnesium, I think.
Yep,
Magnesium,
magnesium and potassium. So those are both really heart healthy. So lots of good reasons to throw that pumpkin in there. The other reason that it's in there is it's a great thickener. So, some of us really want that nice thick chili. That's a great way to thicken it up. Make it nice and hearty. So we're having a good thick bowl. Now, if you're not so into thick chili, when we get to the water, I'll repeat this as well. But as we add the water, you can kind of tailor it to your taste as well. So that's the other thing is you can kind of play with this recipe a little bit and get it to a thickness you like, or, if you want a little thicker, you might go a little less water. And that's what we're going to do today. But if you like a thinner chili, you can just add more water to it. So. All right. Oh, awesome. Our recipes just appeared. You're welcome. All right.
Let's go straight into the pot.
It does. So we'll go ahead and,
You got the oil, right?
yeah.
Okay. Both of them, right?
Yep. Yeah, our oil's looking good and hot. Yep. All right. Each one just do one, maybe?
Yeah, let's try one, and then,
Yeah.
and then we'll get the other one, right? I'll keep chopping.
Or we could just do one. I probably wouldn't hurt.
Oh, okay.
So we're just gonna do, normally this would call for 2 onions, but for sake of time, we're just gonna do the one. So, all right. This is another one too, when it comes to onions, sweet potatoes, cut them up to the texture you like. If you like a chunky chili, make them chunkier. If you prefer something more fine, like I myself am not a huge like big chunk of onion fan. So I tend to make my onions very fine, like Gwen's doing here.
Yeah.
But some people might want big chunks of onion. They like that. So, do what you like. That's the nice thing about cooking is you can tailor it to what you like. All right, so we're going to go ahead and throw this in the pot and start sauteing these. Get that over in here. We're going to fry some more now. Get that nice smell going in here. For those of you who are online, just imagine this wonderful smell of these cooking. So we're going to saute these for a couple seconds here. Start browning them up. So while that's cooking, I'm going to get our garlic open. Now you can buy heads of garlic and do your own garlic if you want to. I'm kind of lazy, so I just usually buy the jarred kind. So These do keep a while in the fridge, which is nice. You can also, if you like more of like a roasted flavor, buy a roasted garlic. So I just got a plain one today, just to start with, but play with it. If you prefer something that's roasted, you can do a roasted garlic too. So we're going to let that cook for a minute. Any questions while we're cooking up the onions? Any other ones that have popped to mind so far? No? So,
Yes.
mm, it does, especially if you're buying it in a jar, because they're taking it right out of the field, chopping it up and packing it in the jar and then sealing. So you wouldn't get that rancid flavor. I so she was asking about like garlic in the past has kind of tasted rancid. Um, and yeah, if it sits too long, it will start to get a rancid flavor because the oils in it will start to break down. So in a jar is a nice way to do it too. And I do store mine in the fridge. Once I open them up, I usually stick them in the fridge so that they'll last longer. So you don't have to worry about it getting funky. So garlic has a lot of health benefits. Besides scaring away vampires, it also has lots of heart health benefits. So we know that it helps if you have, concerns about like heart disease and stuff. You can buy little pills called garlic, but, we don't all want to smell like garlic necessarily. But it is a great way to get your garlic and have some health benefits. So protect our hearts because that's something important as well. Yep.
Broccoli, cauliflower,
Yeah. And
cabbage, all those strong veggies are good.
if you're not an onion fan, but you still want somewhat of an onion flavor in here, you could also do shallots. They're a little bit more mild a lot of times than a regular onion. We chose yellow onions today, but you could also do a sweet onion or like a red onion. So just kind of flavor it to your preference. So this is coming along good. They're starting to get kind of clearish. With onions, you want to get them kind of translucent, and that means they're done. So we're getting close here. We'll give them another moment. And with recipes, I tend to, especially ones that have like steps that are like this one, I will get everything out before I start doing it just because it's easier. Because as the minutes start to go, like this is supposed to saute for about 5, 7 minutes. 5 minutes goes really fast when you're trying to chop something else up. So like with us tag teaming, it's a lot easier because we can do one thing while somebody's doing something else. But if you're at home cooking by yourself, you may want to actually just go ahead and have everything ready to roll, like we've got it out here, and then you just start tossing it in the pan as it goes. So go for
I
it.
got to skin them.
Nope, skins can go in. Yeah, so we're gonna throw all the sweet potato in. A lot of people think we need to skin our potatoes or sweet potatoes, and we don't necessarily have to. That's where there's a lot of fiber. So give them a good cleaning, wash them off really good, and then go ahead and toss them in with the skins. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adding our garlic. And this calls for a fair amount of garlic. Let me double check, make sure I'm putting the right amount in. Yep, okay. And with cooking, it is not like baking. So with baking, you have to be pretty precise. You got exact amounts. One of the things I love about cooking, you can just throw it in there. Close enough is good. So if you like a little more garlic, toss a little more garlic in. If you're like, not my favorite, put a little less in. So we're going to just saute this for a moment and let it get nice and fragrant. So hopefully,
Big or little, do you think?
perfect.
Like this?
Yeah.
There.
So we're just trying to get that smell. So when you saute a garlic, it enhances the flavor. It gets those antioxidants that are in it moving, and it really gives it a little bit extra bold flavor. So that's why we usually saute garlic first. That another split second. Then we're going to add some of our other ingredients. So we're adding a whole bunch of spices today. So we've got oregano. We've got ancho chili powder. So this has got kind of almost a smoky flavor to it. So that's kind of nice because it gives it a little more depth to the flavor without being overly spicy. We're going to do some ground black pepper. We're going to do cumin, which is really common in a lot of like chilies and those kinds of things. And this one's going to sound a little weird. Cinnamon. This just gives it a little sweetness to kind of back up that pumpkin. So that can be a really fun ingredient in chilies. I actually really like cinnamon in chilies. It doesn't seem like something you would normally toss in a chili. We think of that as something we use in like sweet things, but it actually works really well in savory things as well. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get these seasonings going in. And I just went ahead and pre-prepped them so they were all measured out and ready to go for us. And any kind of herb or spice has lots of health benefits, and everyone's different. So that's why we want to use a variety of herbs and spices. Not only does it make things tasty, but it also helps things have more health benefits. So each herb and spice is going to have a different flavor profile. It's going to have different antioxidants, different vitamins and minerals. So the more that we mix in, the more health benefits we're going to get. All right. Again, we're just waiting for these to get a nice smell. So when you start to smell those spices coming out of the pot, you know you're ready to go for the next step. All right. That smells really good. Those of you in the room, can you smell it as well? Yeah. Awesome. All right. So now we're going to add some tomato paste. So this has something called lycopene. Tomatoes do. And when we make a paste out of it, we really concentrate that lycopene. And the reason we want lycopene, it is very heart healthy, especially for men. I don't know why they have found it helps with men more than women, but it is very helpful. So if you're worried about like heart disease, that kind of thing, tomatoes are a great source of heart health. I went to Ingles. I got the Laura Lynn brand, and I usually try to buy low sodium because we want to be heart healthy as well. And of course, I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I need low sodium. So when I realized there was not a low sodium option, I started looking at the labels. Interestingly enough, this was the cheapest one and the lowest in sodium. It only has 20 milligrams, which is really not a lot when we're talking tomato products coming out of a can. So that was kind of nice. I'm like, added bonus. I get the cheap one and I'm getting a healthier version. So I know sometimes we think the healthiest is going to be the most expensive, but check all your different brands. Just because it's a store brand doesn't mean it's not healthy or it doesn't have the same benefits. And it's a lot more budget friendly a lot of times too. So, all right. I'm trying to get the last little bits out of here.
Good for your eyes too, the lycopene.
Oh, yeah.
Good for your eyes.
All right. So we got our tomato paste in there. So we're going to mix that in. All right, my spices are starting to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pot, so I'm just going to toss a teeny bit of water in here just to help keep it from sticking. If you're trying to cut down on oils in your cooking, that's a nice way to saute is to use a little bit of water because that'll help keep things from sticking without causing too much trouble. So next, we're putting in our pumpkin puree. Get a nice big chunk of this stuff. The stuff out of a can, I almost always use a spatula or a spoon because sometimes it's hard to get this stuff out. So for purposes of today, we actually pre-cooked our sweet potatoes because they take the longest to cook. So we tossed those in the microwave for a minute, got them cooked up some. So that way we're not all sitting here staring at each other for 30 minutes while this sautés. with our mouths watering. So get all this pumpkin puree in here. Feel free to stick a hand up if you got any questions as we're going. Or if you're online, feel free to stick something in the chat. Madison will let us know you have a question as well. All right, almost there. Anybody getting hungry yet? So if you're in a hurry at home as well and you don't want to spend as much time cooking, you could also could also cook your sweet potatoes up in advance, speed the process up. I'm one of those that I always love a good chili or soup the second day because I feel like they just have so much better flavor once we get to that second day. So, all right, so now we got our chili. We've got our tomato paste, our pumpkin in here. So now we're going to start adding the tomatoes. So these guys are going to go in, let me double check. Yep, undrained. So we have fire roasted. Those just have a little bit extra flavor to them because of the fire roasting. So they're really yummy. So we're not draining them. So I did get no salt added so that we don't have to worry about adding a lot of sodium from the juice. If you can't find fire roasted tomatoes, just get regular diced tomatoes. They'll work just fine too.
Your own from the garden, chopped up.
Absolutely. Yeah, this time of year we're not getting so many tomatoes out of the gardens, but
No.
but definitely in the summertime. All right. So that all goes in there. Give it a good stir again. Just kind of want to get everything all mixed up. Right now, this is pretty thick. It gives it a little texture. So it gives you something to kind of like chew on a little bit. It also has a lot of health benefits. Again, like a pumpkin, it's got the beta carotene, it's got the fiber. It's a lot better for stabilizing blood sugar for a lot of people than a regular potato would be too. So, somebody's got diabetes and they're trying to really keep an eye on their blood sugar. That's a really good way to help kind of make this work a little better. All right.
All right.
All right. So we're going to toss our chunks of sweet potato in here. Yeah, and that seems like another one of those sort of odd choices for chili, I think. People don't always think of sweet potatoes, but it makes it nice and hearty, gives you something to chew on besides the beans. So, because I feel like when we eat things that we don't chew, we don't feel like we're getting as much out of it. It's just not as satisfying for whatever reason. We just like to chew. So, okay. So now I'm going to add the water. So I'm putting in the minimum amount it calls for. So I'm doing a double batch. So I'm doing basically 2 cups per batch. You can do whatever you want. You could add no water. You could add twice that water. So just get it to whatever desired consistency you want. So that's what we're going to do, is make sure that it's something that's going to be at a texture you like. Because this is yours. At the end of the day, when you're making something, you want to be something you enjoy. Because the reality is, I think sometimes healthy food gets a bad reputation. Let's be honest. Every time the word healthy comes up, I don't know why this ever got started, but I do get people all the time that are like, yeah, my doctor tells me if it tastes good, spit it out. It's not good for me. And I'm like, there's lots of good food out there. There's all kinds of wonderful, tasty stuff that's perfectly healthy. So just because it tastes good does not mean that it is not good for you. All right. We got that going on. And now we're going to add the beans. So this recipe calls for pinto beans and then kidney or black beans. So since we're doing a double batch, I decided to split the difference. We have half kidney beans and half black beans for that part. So we actually have 3 types of beans in this batch. And again, beans are just like anything else, like vegetables. Different beans have different health benefits. Iron is a really big source in black beans. So if you're trying to get more iron in your diet, having black beans is a great way to do it. Kidney beans are red. That has a different set of antioxidants. Pinto beans have a different set. So the more variety we can put in our diet, usually the healthier we are. All right, so these guys just need to chill out for a few minutes here and simmer. I'll put the lid on it. What questions are you thinking of while we're simmering? I'm gonna set a timer too, so we don't run ourselves too long on it. All right.
Sir?
Mm-hmm.
Taste better.
Okay.
Have you tasted this?
I did earlier when I was scooping out the little extra piece. Tastes just fine. So, and I think sometimes too, he was asking about like Hunts versus like the Laurel Lynn. A lot of times they don't really want to tell you this, but this might actually be made in the same factory as the Hunts. They're just slapping a different label and a different price on it. So you may find as you're tasting out different things, hey, this actually tastes just fine. It tastes just like the other stuff and it's cheaper. So it's hard because unfortunately with food, sometimes we just have to buy it and try it and find out. And I can honestly say cooking it's a journey. We try different things. I made something 25 years ago that I still have not lived down. It was that bad. Like literally, a friend of mine that had it with me about 6 months ago was like, "Oh, you remember?" I'm like, "Yes, let's not talk about that." So just try it and see. Buy a little can. I think this little can was like 98 cents. It happened to be on sale, but that's a pretty cheap investment to find out that's not your favorite. So chances are you're not going to necessarily hate it, but it might not be the same thing as your hunt. So what other questions are you thinking of? Anybody online with any questions yet? No? Okay. It is. So this one was 10. So the only reason I got 2 is I needed 12 to double up on the batch. So I only had to take 2 tablespoons out of this one. So yeah, 1 can is perfectly good. And you could just set the other side of stuff. So like if I have extra of this left, I don't like to waste food. It just feels like I'm throwing money out. So I'll set it aside and maybe like use it as a base for soup or mix it in some soup if I'm making a soup, or if I have something where I want a little more tomatoey flavor, I might toss it in there just to kind of use it up. So, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she was mentioning she actually freezes hers. Yeah, and you could even like if you know you're going to use a tablespoon typically, maybe put it in little tablespoon cubes so that you just grab it and toss it in. So, yeah, freezers are great. I throw everything in the freezer because I figure if I'm going to waste it, at least I can try freezing it first. So, oh, that's a good question.
Maybe cornbread would go with it.
Yeah, I would lean toward like a cornbread. Yeah, that would be awesome. Um, some people like to do like chips on their chili. You could do like some baked chips with it, like baked corn chips. Yeah. So, what was going on? What were you thinking as you were like watching? Anything popping into mind for you? Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. I have a recipe for a multi-grain biscuit that I will sometimes do with the chilies and soups. So, yeah. Collards, interesting. Madison likes collards with her soup. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want some leafy greens, you could always throw it in there, like some kale, collard, something like that. So those are always good in soups and chilies and stews. So yeah. What other questions are you thinking of? Good. So yeah, we're just gonna wait on this to cook. Um, and I'm a huge fan this time of year of any kind of soup or stew or chili. So yeah, we're gonna get our cans out of here so you don't have to stare at those. So, and pretty much I'm trying to think if there's anything other than the onions and the sweet potatoes. All of this is shelf stable. So you could have the ingredients on hand before you even get to at home. You could stock it up. If you're doing the frozen onions or the minced onion, that would be also shelf stable. So really all you would need would be the sweet potatoes. They are more expensive. You can get pre-diced sweet potatoes. Sometimes that is kind of a nice thing if you're really in a hurry. So, um, but if you want to go on the cheaper route, chopping them up yourself is a good idea. If they're too hard to cut up, because I know when I get cutting raw sweet potatoes, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
feel like I'm
Very-
cutting forever. These are hard. Throw them in the microwave. Get them a little bit cooked up so they're a little softer before you chop them up like we did today. So, you like what? How long did we do
It was
today?
Just about 4 minutes, I think. for the
Yeah.
two of them. 4 or 5
So,
minutes, just
yeah.
depending on, yeah.
It depends on your microwave, but yeah,
'cause-
like this one's super, I think, super high powered.
Very
So
high
it was
powered.
very quick,
Yeah,
but
so-
some of the less powered microwaves might take like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very-
You want it to have like when you push on a little squish, but not a ton. You don't want it to be like your finger goes through it.
We cooked them a little bit more today, just because we didn't have all day to let it simmer and. Oh,
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's saying she's not a big fan of sweet potatoes. If you're not,
Yeah,
trying to think what else we could substitute. Maybe parsnips?
yeah,
Those might be an interesting substitution. Um,
yeah. I don't know.
maybe a rutabaga. That's a little bit more earthy in flavor. So if you don't mind a little earthiness to your chili, a rutabaga might be good. If you're gonna do white potatoes, just know if you're working on blood sugars, that might make it a little more challenging. Um, yep. Could put technically like the butternut squash as we were talking earlier, even an acorn squash that's got a similar texture. So yeah, so you can play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're not an onion fan or, sometimes they upset some people's stomachs. So yeah, celery would be a great alternative. He's saying he likes celery in his chili. So yeah, that would be an awesome. Yeah, that's the nice thing about recipes like this. You can play with them. So
Chili's one of those things that, yeah, you can make how you like it. And
yeah.
it's very different from person to person.
Yeah, if you wanted something a little with like almost a bite to it, you could maybe even do radishes instead of onions. So that would give you a little more tang to it. All right, got some good simmering starting up over here. So that's the hard part for me with soups and chilies is once it goes into the pot and it's just doing its thing, I'm like, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? So this is one that you could make ahead too and stick it back in the fridge and let it chill out and all the flavors mix together. And then the next day pull it out and pop it in the microwave, throw it on the stove, whatever, and reheat too. So the usual rule of thumb for food safety is about a week. So there's nothing that's considered like high risk in this. If it had like milk or eggs in it, then we would have to probably say about 3, 4 days because those are considered a little bit higher risk. But a week easily, if you're worried about it, just shove some of it in a Tupperware or whatever and stick it in the freezer and come back around to it in a week or two. Or if you live by yourself, or it's just like one or two of you and you're like, yeah, this pot's gonna last us the next 2 weeks, take out what you want and then just put the rest in the freezer. You can even ladle it out into servings if you want for the freezer, like portion it. So you just got to pull out whatever you want and have it that way. So it's actually one of the nice things about soups and chilies and stews. We can easily toss them in the freezer for later. Especially if you're not feeling like cooking some days. As the winter weather gets colder, I feel like we all just want to kind of hibernate. So that's a good way to be able to just pull it out and have it to eat right then and there. Just heat it up. Uh, turkey, chill. Yeah, ground turkey, ground chicken even, or chunks of chicken possibly. Yeah, that would work. Yep. Yeah, it's hard when you have a meat eater when you want to do something that's meatless and they're like, I gotta have my meat. So, all right. So our timer says we're done. I'm gonna give this just another minute because I want to let it simmer just a teeny bit more, but I think we're pretty good. So, um, yeah, and it's hard. You have to kind of go with what preferences you have in the family too. Like if somebody in your family doesn't like pinto beans, don't put pinto beans in it. I mean, throw more kidney or black beans or find a different bean. I like Great Northern, cannellinis, some of the white beans in chilies too. So you could easily throw something like that in place of it. So we have lots of options when it comes to making stuff like this, which is fun. So, and easy. If you don't have what you need in the fridge, you just substitute. So, other questions? Any online questions that we've had? Nope. Okay. Yeah.
You walk away from it and come back later, like after church on Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. He was asking if you could throw it in a crock pot. Absolutely. Yeah, I do that with all kinds of stuff. So yeah, just set it on low and when you get home, it should be ready to go for you. Yeah, if you have like a Instapot or one of the like a pressure cooker, that would even cook quicker because those speed up the cooking process. So you could always throw it like in an Instapot if you want to not spend 30, 45 minutes waiting for it to simmer. So yeah, just throw it all in and
The dried beans work real good in the pressure
Mhm.
cookers. or
They do, yeah.
If you have they're not canned ahead of
Mhm.
time, you have just the dried beans, they work real good in that.
Absolutely, yeah. Dried beans are a great alternative. So if you're ambitious enough to actually do that, so I can honestly admit I'm not most of the time, but
Soak 'em.
yep.
All that,
Yeah, go through the soaking and cooking them. But yeah, you can use dried beans as well if you prefer something that's not in a can. So, oh, maybe 10 or 15 minutes would probably be all you'd need, I would think, because those usually speed it up pretty good. You do 20 to 25? Okay. Yeah, Madison says that she does potatoes and she does 20 to 25. So. All right. I hear lots of simmering over here. Ooh, that looks good. All right. I think we are done. Does anybody want to try this out? For those of you online, we wish we could give you samples, but the recipe is going to be available. How are we doing that? Are we going to put that in an email? Okay, we're going to email that to you. So that you can have it. If you happen to weren't able to make it at lunchtime, but you want to say hey to us, the rest of us are all going to be downstairs at the Gibbs Cancer Center over by the Pelham Medical Center for the rest of the afternoon until about 3. We've got some trail mix down there if you want some dessert too. So
Good dessert.
we've got some fun trail mixing stuff. So we're doing a trail mix bar down there. We're trying to celebrate it up. All right, before we get serving, any last questions? Anybody online got any questions? No? All right, y'all ready to eat? Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get serving. So if you want to come up, we've got water and we've got bowls and spoons. Oh, it's definitely hot.
Oh,
It's simmering over here. We got,
It's all bowling. Yep.
yeah, we got
Okay.
bubble. We got lots of bubbling going on over here. Yeah, I was trying to figure out. Like, where'd it go? So y'all, those of you who are in the room have to give your verdict to those online about what you think about flavor. Yeah. Slide these on over. We appreciate all of you that came today and those of you who are online. Thank you for coming and joining us today and celebrating National Diabetes Month. There you go. You're welcome. For those of you diving in, what do you think? Is it going to make you a sweet potato convert? No. Yeah.
I've got a couple in my house too, non-sweet potato eaters. It's either you love them or you don't like them. It just doesn't do it, huh? No.
Yeah.
You like them or you don't.
For me, the sweet potatoes are fine. I don't like beans.
Oh.
Ah, okay. Are we making you a bean convert?
Oldest bottle.
Yeah, the really cheap Chicante wine. Hmm.
Beans in it.
Ah.
Liquid is water. You put a couple of stalks of, oregano or rosemary or whatever. And then you put it in the fire.
Mm.
Let it, you have to stay awake all night. You have to keep it turned.
Wow.
Otherwise the water will chill the glass and it breaks.
Hmm.
So we made that 4 or 5 times, especially they're great. It's great when the power goes out. But, that wasn't too bad.
Okay.
But, red beans and rice, no way. Thank you. No, thank you, but no.
No beans. No
Yeah.
particular, none that you like. You've tried them all.
No, well, look, I worked in Mexico for a while. And at the cantina, they noticed I didn't eat any of the beans. And they said, well, Senior Juan, what form you don't like the beans? I said, no. He says, what form do you like the beans? I said, in no form do I like the beans. And I was working in a cigarette factory in Monterrey, Mexico, and they all kind of like leaned away from me. It's like you were going to Morrison's or some cafeteria and saying, well, no, I don't eat beef, I eat children. That's about the reaction I got.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it.
You're gonna try.
That's all we ever ask, You don't know what you do or don't like until you try it. So
Trying to think of a beanless chili, but
yeah.
probably a way to do that. Meat and tomatoes and something else.
Yeah. Do you like lentils? Okay. You could,
I love that.
yeah, you could throw lentils in there then.
Lentils.
Yeah.
Lentil soup.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would go with a more like a green maybe, because I think those take the longest to cook, so they have a little more texture to them. And probably add them last. I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't add those at the beginning. So yeah, you're right. They'd be mushy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you
Oh,
could, you
yeah,
can salt it
that's
to your
different.
flavor.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't think it's spicy enough, you can throw some more chili powder in it. If you like really spicy, the original recipe actually called for poblano chilies, but I'm a bit of a spice wimp, so I figured I would go softer on the spicy, but you could throw poblanos, you could throw jalapenos, so you could mix some additional spiciness to it. So you definitely have that option. Ooh,
For what?
did you say put chocolate in it?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, actually you have a
Oh,
mhm.
really?
Yeah. I actually have a chili recipe. She's saying adding like a Hershey's special dark chocolate to the pot. I do actually have a chili recipe at home that has cocoa powder in it. So yeah, you could throw some
Oh.
cocoa powder in it because it does add some different flavor. So mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Just yeah, it gives a little extra sweetness, but not chocolatiness. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with the pumpkin and the cinnamon, that would give it a nice little nudge. So yeah.
So thanks.
If you pop downstairs on your way out, we've got some more sitting on the table by our little trail mix bar.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. There's I think there's a garden flatbread, a carrot fry recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's down there. They're double-sided, so if you grab one, you'll get the other. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you enjoy this kind of thing, just kind of a plug for our culinary medicine group. Carrie Stewart, who runs that, does some cooking up confidence classes. So those are kind of fun because that's actually a cook along class. So you get in your kitchen, pull up the video. She's in her kitchen here cooking. I think Madison's doing. When are you doing your next batch? Okay, yep.
Okay, cooking up confidence fires.
Yep, so we got cooking up confidence flyers downstairs. If you are online, if you go to the Spartanburg Regional Events page, you can find those to sign up for there too. And Carrie also does something called Colorful Cooking at Home, where she does just video cooking demos. We have a chef, Caroline. She's great. So they do different recipes each month. Those are all posted on our YouTube page. So if you go to Spartanburg Regional's YouTube page and you type in like colorful cooking at home, all the old videos will pop up. So you can see all the different things that we've made. The recipes are there in the comments on the YouTube page. So that's another way if you're looking for more cooking classes that you can watch old ones. So we have a whole bunch of them. She's been doing those for a while. So if you are also interested in more cooking classes, the American Diabetes Association has a website called their Food Hub. So it's foodhub.org. They have cooking classes on there as well. So if you're looking for more ways to learn about cooking, lots of great ways to do it. We want to support you in finding new fun recipes. So any other questions y'all have? No? Well, thank you all for joining us today. It's been fun being with you and cooking with you. You're welcome.